Hello and welcome to another video on the Bernina digitizing software. It occurred to me, well, I was alerted to the fact in the comments of one of the videos that I hadn't done a video on sending your designs to your machine. There are lots of different combinations in sending your design to your machine, so you should ask yourself some questions first. But before I get into that, I am going to give you all my viewers a huge thank you for watching my videos, because I have finally reached the threshold to get monetized. What that means is you're watching enough hours of my video combined to get me to the level where YouTube will now give me a very small share of the advertising revenue from the ads in the videos. So thank you very much for watching, and for those of you who watch all the way through, the more hours I have of viewing, the better it is. Okay, let's get into the video. So, sending your design to the machine. The questions you should ask yourself is, what is your design? Is it an inbuilt design, or one you've digitized yourself, or one you've purchased, in which case it most likely will be a machine file. Now, if you don't know the difference between an all-in-one and a machine file, I'll have a link to a video below that explains the difference, because machine files don't have the same information as all-in-one files. And so when I get a bit further into explaining how to send to your machine, I'll point out a better way to send machine files to your machine, to your machine. But it also depends on, are you going to edit the design? Are you going to add anything to the design, such as lettering or another design, combining more than one design together? That's the second question you should ask yourself. And then, of course, there are the different options for the different types of machines. So do you have a Bernina machine, or do you have another brand of machine? Because how you send it will depend on that. And then, how is your machine connected to your software, if it's connected at all? So are you going to send it to a USB stick to put in your machine? Is your machine connected with a serial cable? One of the older machines have that option. Or do you have the Wi-Fi option that came with version 9? Okay, so when you want to send a design to the machine, there are two places you can do that from. You can do it from embroidery canvas. So if you have a design open in embroidery canvas, it can be sent to the machine from there. All you need to do is come up to the icon up here, send to your machine, so it's the one on the right with the arrow pointing downwards, or if you have the Wi-Fi device connected, then you can click on that. Now, the send to your machine icon will only convert designs to the EXP format for Bernina machines. Your Wi-Fi device, if you have a different brand of machine and you've connected your Wi-Fi to that, in the setup of that device you specify the machine file type that you want it to use, and therefore you can send to a different brand of machine using the Wi-Fi, because you've configured that in the settings for the Wi-Fi. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details of setting up the Wi-Fi device. That's beyond the scope of this video, but it is in the manual quite clearly. Shows you how to do that. There's also videos you can access, Bernina videos you can access from the home screen about setting up the Wi-Fi device. So I'll leave that for now, but that's the options there. Now, if you don't have the Wi-Fi device, or you can't use the Wi-Fi device for some reason, then you can get your design in a format for your machine and send it to a USB stick, but you need to do that from the file menu. So you've got your file menu, and then if you come down, if you expand that out, then you've got export machine file option, so you can click on that and it will send it it will give you a file explorer type window where you can choose where you want it to go to. So you would choose your USB stick. I've got one in here, so if I expand the PC out, you would choose your USB stick and you would choose your format down here. So it defaults to EXP, but you've got all the different formats for the different machines, so you should find one that works for your machine in here. Okay, and of course you can rename the design at this point as well as you send it. I'm just going to cancel that out. The first time you are going to send a design to your machine, before you even do that, you should save it as an art file. The reason being, the art file is the all-in-one file type, so unless you've just opened a design that is already saved somewhere on your computer, then you should save yourself a copy, because if you need to edit your design after you've done a stitch out and you haven't saved the art file, you won't have all the information to edit it correctly. So save it as an art file and then send to your machine. The send to machine dialog, if you use that one, gives you different options for different ways to send to your machine. So if I left click on that, you will get a dialog open which has the options showing here. Now the first time you do this, it'll be grayed out. None of these will be usable. I've got a USB stick usable because I've set it up for that. So the first time you open it, you need to go to settings, or if indeed I decided I wanted to use my Wi-Fi device in future, then I would set it up for the Wi-Fi device instead of this. So you can change what's available here at any time by clicking on the settings wheel here. So you click on that, and here you can add or delete options for sending to your machine. So if I wanted to, you can have more than one available. So if I wanted to add the Wi-Fi device in here, I would left click on here. Now it is available because I have in the past set up my Wi-Fi device, so it's detecting that I have got that option available via my computer, so I can select that. But if you haven't set up your Wi-Fi device, that will be grayed out as well. All these others are selectable as well. I could choose EXP for the deco machine because that is different to the deco machine reads a different way. So if you've got a deco machine, you would use this option. If you have one of the older machines that reads the art format, that's version 4 art format, which is actually a machine file, not an all-in-one file, even though it's called an art format. So you would use this option. This is the one I've got at the moment. This one here is if you've got a serial port, and you would have to set that up as well with the IP address and the port number and so forth. This one, I couldn't find anywhere in the manual or anything what this is about. It's obviously a Windows icon, so I suspect that at some stage you'll be able to send it to the cloud. I'm not sure. And this one is the symbol for a USB cable, so I'm suspecting that you can connect your machine with a USB cable. I've never done that. For that to become available, if I click on it, nothing happens, so I would think that you would have to have your machine connected and turned on for you to be able to put this in your settings. Don't quote me on that because I can't find any documentation about these. If anyone knows of documentation about these two icons, please comment below. Alright, you can find all the information about these various options in the manual. So I'll just cancel out of that and that for the moment and go to the reference manual. So if you go to your help screen, I have to close that one as well. If you go to your help screen and go to the reference manual, you will see in the index on the right hand side now, it is in the latest Adobe, used to be on the left, but there is an index. If you come down, you'll see design processing. You can expand that out, and you can see machine files, expand that out, and device selection under file format. So click on the device selection and it should go to that page. Yes, so the manual is a bit out of date, to be perfectly honest. So this is actually the screen that we used to see on our version 8 software, and we didn't have the screen I just showed you where you have to set it up. You just had these options. It was pre-Wi-Fi option. So you would just click on whichever one, but I'm just trying to find. There was a section, and sorry, I did have it before, in the manual that listed those different options. Okay, so I found it. Here are the different icons, and you'll see those icons, the Windows icon and the USB cable icon I talked about before aren't even here. So I'm thinking that that's still work in progress by the software designers. But these explain exactly which option is for what machine, etc. And reader writer box, for instance, if you're still using that, then you would use this serial port option as well. Some of these probably don't even work on modern computers, so they're there if you've got a setup that works for that. All right. That is on page 902. That's page 902, but because of the couple of cover pages on the reference manual, it'll show as 904 on the page here on the right hand side, but it's actually 902. All right, let's just close that and go back to sending to our machine. So once you have set up what your options are, they will show in this drop down menu here. So I've only got the USB stick option set up, so that's the only one I can choose from. And so these two here are grayed out. This would be send directly to your machine, and this one's to save to your machine memory, I believe. I would just click on the EXP. So you need, if you're using this option, you need to have your USB stick inserted into your computer. If you are using the Wi-Fi, you need to have your machine turned on and the Wi-Fi, give the Wi-Fi a little bit of time to connect to the network, and then it'll be available here. So you just have to think in advance before you want to send your design. And then you will just click on the EXP and you'll get a little dialog saying that it's been copied successfully to the folder. So I've got some other design, it's called design 1 in that on that USB stick. So so it's got a little 3 in brackets here. So you can send more than a design with the same name to a USB stick. It'll just give you a number here to differentiate it. If your design is too big for the hoop, you will get a notice saying that. So I'll show you that in just a minute, but I'll go OK here. And I'll just open the USB stick for you. So go to my USB stick and I'll just I had a lot of other stuff on this USB stick. I'm not actually going to stick it in my machine, but let me just get to the viewing of the large icons down here, maybe. Yes. Right, so there is the design. Oh, I've got it on there twice now. When you send the design to your machine, it will give you if it's going to a Bernina machine and you're sending it as an EXP, it converts it to the EXP on the fly, so you don't have to worry about converting it first. So you just, even if it's an art file, so you'll get a bitmap. You'll also get the actual stitch data design file, the EXP file, and then it will also have a little information file as well. Now, some Bernina machines use this information file, so it helps with colours, such as naming the colours exactly the same as what you had in your design, etc. That's why using your software is better than just buying an EXP design, because if you buy an EXP design, it's probably only this file here. But having said that, that is what will go on your USB stick, and you can take your USB stick to your machine. Okay, I'll close that. Of course, you can clean off your USB stick just with File Explorer at any time. You don't need to open up the software to delete files off it, etc. Now, if your hoop is too small for your design, so let's show the hoop, and I've got the maxi hoop on, which is way too big. You should always choose a hoop that is the smallest you can use when you're stitching out a design, because I'll just get this small hoop, which is way too small, because you get a much more stable embroidery environment. You don't want to stitch a small design in a huge hoop, apart from being a waste of stabilizer, etc. Okay, so here is an obvious case where my design doesn't fit in the hoop. So if I was to try and send that to the machine now, it will come up with some objects in the design are not covered by hoops. So you can send covered only, which will only send the objects that are actually in the hoop, or you can send them all as a single hooping. So if you are in a real rush and you haven't got time to change the hoop on here, you can change the hoop on your machine. So this will send the whole design anyway. Or you can go to the multi-hooping option by clicking on add hoopings, and so if you've got your biggest hoop and your design still doesn't fit in, this is another warning, and so you can turn it into a multi-hoop design. Or you can close this dialog and fix the problem manually. So I can cancel there and change my hoop back to a reasonable hoop that will fit the design. There we go. So I haven't got the Wi-Fi connected, but if I did, I would make sure my machine was on, that the Wi-Fi had connected to the network, and then I would click on this. So it's really very useful if you've got a machine on all day and you're working on your computer and sending designs to that machine at random times during the day, so that you don't have to wait for it to connect. Now, if you want to, you can also send designs from Embroidery Library. So I'm going to go through to Embroidery Library. And in Embroidery Library, we've got an icon that says Stitch Selected Design. So I haven't selected a design, so what am I in? I'm in Public Embroidery. And I've got all embroidery files here at the moment. So just check that you've got either all embroidery files or all machine files or all or one of these selected, so that you can actually see the files that you want to see. Otherwise they won't show up here. I'll just put it back on all embroidery files for the moment. So let's just narrow it down. Let's go to the Bernina 9 Floral and Garden. Okay, so I have got that same design already open in my software, so we'll see if this will work if I just send it from here. So I'm clicking on it and to select it, and then my stitch selected design becomes available, and my Wi-Fi option becomes available. So this is the same as send the design to your machine. So if I click on that, I will get the device selection dialog. It will take me back to embroidery canvas, even if I haven't opened that design in embroidery canvas. So let's close that and pick a different design. I'll just choose a different design here. So I need to get back to embroidery library on this tab, and I need to, well, let's go to animals and bugs so we can make sure that it's not the same design. Let's choose this butterfly and let's try and send that to the machine. And it comes up, and I can click on my EXP and it's successfully sent. So let's have a look and go OK. So let's have a look at the USB stick now. And there it is there. So even though I hadn't opened that in the software, I can send it directly from the software to my machine. So that saves a step. If you know exactly where your design is, you can go straight to Embroidery Library from the home screen when you open your software, find the design and send it to your machine. Another useful thing is when you have a machine file that you've purchased and you don't want to do anything to it, you just want to stitch it out, then you can do the same with that. The advantage of sending it a machine file from here is that you are actually going to not disrupt the stitch data. When you open a machine file in the software, it by default converts the stitch data or tries to convert the stitch data to objects, and sometimes that can cause minor issues in the design. So if you don't want to if you don't want to do anything to the design, resize it or add any other elements, other bits of designs or lettering to it, then my advice is to send it to your USB stick or to your machine from the or embroidery library. Now if you have a machine file, then you can just move it to your USB stick via File Explorer. You don't even need to open the software if you don't need to do anything to it. If you want to add other elements to the design, then you will need to open it in the embroidery software. But if you do have your software open and you have the Wi-Fi option going to your other brand of machine, then you can actually send it from here as well. So if I go to my machine files and find some machine files, here are some. I have this in all formats because I have this available on my Creative Fabrica site. So let's choose the Jeff file for instance, and now I could send that via Wi-Fi to my non-Bernina machine. So in the next video I am going to talk about adding lettering around a design. That was also suggested in one of the comments below one of my videos, and I do have some other exciting videos coming up, so make sure you're subscribed and you've turned on notifications so you don't miss any videos. Hope you enjoyed this one and it's helped you. See you in the next video.